In April 2022, Apple launched the Self-Service Repair Program. The pitch was right to repair compliance. Apple would let any customer order genuine Apple parts and rent the official repair tools to fix their own iPhone at home. The repair community celebrated. Then they did the math. Renting the toolkit costs $49 per week. The genuine Apple parts cost roughly the same as Apple Store retail. After shipping the rental kit back, the entire self-repair workflow comes out about 15% more expensive than just walking into an Apple store. Apple complied with right-to-repair laws by pricing self-repair so that nobody would actually choose it. Here on the reason why. For most of the 2010s, fixing an iPhone was extremely difficult outside an Apple store. Apple did not sell parts to independent repair shops. The screws holding iPhones together were proprietary. Software paired components to specific phones, so swapping a screen from one iPhone to another would trigger error messages. The third-party repair industry used gray market parts, broken phones for harvest, and unauthorized workarounds. Right-to-repair activists, led by independent technicians like Louis Rossmann in New York, started lobbying state legislatures in 2017. By 2021, 26 states had introduced right-to-repair bills. The Federal Trade Commission published a report concluding that manufacturer repair restrictions had no good consumer justification. In November 2021, 3 weeks before President Biden was expected to sign an executive order strengthening right-to-repair enforcement, Apple announced the Self-Service Repair Program. The announcement preempted the regulation. Apple framed it as voluntary consumer choice. Customers would now be able to order genuine Apple parts, rent the official Apple repair tools, and follow Apple's official repair manuals to fix their own iPhones. The right-to-repair lobby celebrated. The mainstream tech press wrote favorable headlines. 5 months later, in April 2022, the self-service repair store opened to the public. The first iPhone supported was the iPhone 12 and 13. Subsequent iPhones, iPads, and MacBooks were added over the next 18 months. Then, independent reviewers ran the numbers. The Verge published a teardown article in May 2022. Replacing the screen on an iPhone 12 mini through self-service repair came to $269 in parts, plus $49 to rent the toolkit, $318 total. Walking into an Apple store with the same broken phone and paying for a screen replacement cost $229. Self-repair was $89 more expensive. The toolkit weighed 79 pounds in 2 cases. The official manual was over 100 pages with damage warnings throughout. The customer got to pay more for the privilege of doing it themselves. There is a deeper layer. Each genuine Apple part is paired by software to a specific iPhone serial number. When Apple ships the part, it is configured to work only with the customer's exact phone. A self-service repair customer has to enter their iPhone serial number when ordering. After installing the new part, the customer has to call an Apple System configuration line to authorize the new component to communicate with the phone. Without that call, the part installs but does not function correctly. The screen might display, but features like True Tone color calibration, Face ID, or battery health monitoring will be silently disabled. The part is technically genuine, but functionally crippled until Apple authorizes it remotely. The self-service repair program achieved several things for Apple at once. First, it satisfied the letter of right-to-repair laws. Apple now technically allows self-repair, so the lobbying argument that Apple was preventing self-repair lost its strongest example. Second, the program's pricing and complexity meant nobody actually used it at scale. Apple has not published self-service repair customer numbers, but Louis Rossmann's testimony to Congress in 2023 estimated that fewer than 1% of iPhone repairs go through the program. Third, the regulatory pressure on Apple decreased. By 2023, only 6 states had passed broad right-to-repair laws, and most had carve-outs for consumer electronics. The threat of federal action faded. Apple service revenue, the line item that includes AppleCare warranties, Apple Store repairs, and other support services, was approximately $96 billion in 2023. iPhone repairs through the Apple Store represent a meaningful slice of that. The self-service repair program is not a meaningful revenue line. It is a regulatory compliance tool that produces almost no revenue and almost no cost. Apple has shipped a few thousand toolkits per year. The program runs at a small operating loss compared to the marketing budget and is treated internally as a cost of doing business in the right-to-repair regulatory environment. The actual repair revenue stays inside the Apple Store ecosystem where it always was. This pattern repeats across the entire consumer tech compliance landscape. The technique is malicious compliance. Comply with the letter of the regulation in a way that makes the spirit of the regulation unenforceable. Microsoft did the same with its compliance with European Union web browser choice mandates in the early 2000s. They technically offered Firefox and Chrome as choices in a hidden settings menu. Google did the same with its compliance with European data portability rules. They technically allow you to download all your data in a 47-step manual export process. Apple is the master of this technique because Apple's revenue depends on the integrity of the controlled iPhone ecosystem. Self-repair is the canonical example. The self-service repair program is one of the cleanest visible examples of malicious compliance regulation in modern tech. Apple did not refuse to comply with right-to-repair laws. Apple complied perfectly and made the compliance functionally useless. The $49 weekly tool rental, the £79 shipping crate, the parts pairing software requirement, the system configuration phone call, the deliberately priced parts that cost more than Apple Store labor, the 100-page repair manual with damage warnings. Every single one of these is a real consumer-friendly feature on paper. Combined, they form an obstacle course nobody actually wants to run. The regulation said let consumers fix their own iPhones. Apple let consumers fix their own iPhones badly, expensively, and reluctantly. The regulation was not technically violated. The behavior the regulation was trying to encourage simply did not change. This is the dominant compliance pattern across consumer tech in the 20 in Deceivstraat. Right to repair, data portability, browser choice, App Store competition. Every regulation has produced a compliance solution that technically satisfies the law and changes nothing about the underlying business model. The customer learns to read the regulatory news cycle and then go check whether anything actually got better. Most of the time, the answer is no. The price tag of the repair kit will quietly tell you why. That is what regulatory compliance looks like in late-stage consumer tech. The law gets satisfied, the customer gets nothing, and the quarterly earnings line is unaffected. The next regulatory wave is already on the way. The compliance pattern will be the same. The self-service repair tool case will sit on a shipping warehouse shelf, untouched by most customers for years. That is the regulation working as intended by Apple, not by Congress. If you liked this one, there's a whole channel of stories like it. The reasons behind everyday things you've never questioned. Subscribe so the next one finds you.